Hey everyone, here today with Tance Hughes, who runs a local newsletter called the Miss Lou Brew. And it's really interesting because he's doing it in a pretty small town. We haven't talked to very many people doing that. So thanks for being here, Tance. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, excited to be here, man.
Yeah. So maybe give everybody an overview of yourself, your background, and kind of how you got into local newsletters and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I owned and operated a company for 15 years here in the small town that I live in. And a few years ago, we unfortunately had to close that business, and so I kind of had to completely pivot professionally. And over the last few years, I've opened a coffee shop and gotten into email marketing and newsletters pretty heavily. And so now I'm full time in that space in digital marketing and kind of helping other people grow their newsletters as well.
Okay, awesome. So maybe give us the quick background on the local newsletter you're doing.
Yeah.
First of all, I guess maybe specifically about the town or the size, since I know it's smaller than probably the
Yeah,
smallest that I've
So I
talked
live
to
on
anybody.
I live in a small town in Louisiana called Vidalia. It's about 4,000 people. And then right across the river, I'm on the Mississippi River. So right across the river is another town in Mississippi called Natchez. They have about 15,000 people. So combined, let's just call it 20,000 people. It's a
Okay.
pretty rural area. We're kind of the hub for, the next 50, 60 miles. And so the community is really kind of like one larger, I guess, combined community. Um, yeah, so it's a nice place, but it's right on the state line of Mississippi and Louisiana. And yeah, I have that local newsletter, here, the Miss Lou Brew.
Okay. And so when did you start it?
Started it just over a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what were your goals for doing that? Why did you start it? What were you thinking?
Yeah, so actually for me, the goal was I wanted to market and advertise a couple of other businesses that I own locally. So I own a coffee shop and I also own a self-storage facility. And so I actually started the newsletter to basically have a dedicated outlet to advertise my businesses on a consistent basis, without having to pay, I guess, Zuck or anybody else as much as I do. So trying to build an audience here and then ultimately be able to use the newsletter to get out updates and information about my businesses whenever I needed to.
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly what I talk about a lot. I think that's why people should be doing this. Is to promote your other business, right? Yes, ads are great. You can make money from ads. It's a grind. It's hard, but if you have other businesses locally, that's a killer opportunity. Now, maybe tell me or tell everybody a little bit about the fact that you're in a small town. Maybe the downsides of it, and then the upsides, because I think they're all options have their pros and cons, right? So
Yeah.
tell us about yours of being in a smaller area.
Sure. So, for us, obviously, your total addressable market's pretty small.
Hmm.
It'll never become a huge newsletter just based on the data, based on the numbers and the number of people in the area. So that's a downside. And then another downside is it's not the most, I guess, strongest economic area ever. So there aren't necessarily a ton of large advertisers or people with big budgets to spend on sponsorships and things of that nature. And then also combined with that, which is smaller audience in general, you're not going to command a ton of sponsorship dollars, regardless, just because the list is fairly small. But the upside is you can become a big fish in a small pond very quickly, become a trusted voice in the community, and have a lot of blanket coverage pretty quickly, which we do. And so, I think that that's a positive. We can quickly become a very well-known outlet for the community.
Totally. And I think part of that as well is the fact that being so small, I assume you don't have much competition, right? There's probably
Yeah,
very little out there. So it
exactly.
makes people like you more because you're one of the only people doing it, right? Which is
Mhm.
the opposite of a bigger area.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What about because I know you're kind of I don't know if this is the right word, but marketing expert, digital marketing expert. So I definitely want to get into meta ads and stuff in all facets, but maybe specifically now starting with you, how is doing or if you've done that, well maybe let's just talk acquisition. What have you done for acquisition? Then we can get into how meta may play into that in a smaller town.
Yeah, well, Meta's the only acquisition we've really run.
Okay.
So I started this and built a waiting list in the beginning, and then of course, just kind of scaled it from there. Small amounts of money, of course, because it's a small area. But yeah, Meta's really the only way that we've acquired subscribers for the newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how is I've not tried to do meta in such a small area. does that does it cost more, or how has doing meta ads been for this?
No, the biggest thing you have to pay attention to is frequency. You can burn out the audience pretty quickly with your creatives just because it's such a small area. So, you've got to keep fresh creatives up. But as far as costs or CPMs or anything like that, I mean, no, it's no different than anywhere else.
It's about the same. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So, okay, tell everybody about or yeah, your background as far as, digital marketing, and maybe we can get into some ideas or advice you have for people, since I mean, you're doing this that's your day job, right? Is doing a lot of digital marketing stuff?
Yeah, yeah. So, marketing director at an agency where we help media companies basically grow their number of subscribers. So day in and day out, that's what I do is I help companies and media outlets basically figure out how to scale their subscriber count as affordably as possible. So I'm in the weeds all day every day and seeing it from a number of different industries or corners of the market, things of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody, do you work with anybody who's doing anything local related at these agencies, or is it mostly like the B2B type of stuff?
We have a few clients who are in the local newsletter space.
Okay.
Most of them are not.
Okay.
But when I say local newsletter, it's usually more like a regional type newsletter, so maybe a
Mm,
state specific
yeah.
newsletter or a very large metropolitan area, because typically then they would have the budgets to be able to afford, to hire an agency versus kind of do it on their own.
Yeah, kind of. I imagine, I don't know who your clients are, but thinking of it more like someone covering the entire area of Atlanta or
Yeah,
Austin, like some big, as opposed to, a lot of people listening to this are going to be the people like me who have Leander, Texas, or Round Rock.
yeah,
These are much smaller areas where wouldn't
exactly.
justify, I mean, a big agency spend
Mhm.
versus like a really large media company covering a whole metro
Correct.
area.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. What since I feel like you have a unique angle at this because you know local newsletters because you have one, but you also know, whatever, B2B, big, marketing. Is there anything that jumps out at you that maybe people who are just local newsletters don't know or don't think about when it comes to marketing or acquisition?
Something that they may not know or don't think about. I think maybe this may not answer your question directly, but I think on the flip side, I think something they think about is that they just assume everything has to be so polished and perfect, and really it's just kind of like get in there and throw some stuff in there and test it. It doesn't need to be perfect, but I think too often people think that you have to start with this kind of perfect plan, and you just don't have to. Ugly ads work. So I guess maybe something that they don't know is that ugly ads work. That would
Yeah.
be the answer, as opposed to having this professional photo shoot or videography or anything like that.
Yeah, I think actually let's talk about that real quick because I even some specifics here. I saw Nathan May's newsletter talk about this as well, and it's something we had already been doing, and I think I didn't really put it together. But why some of our ads work and why sometimes we get such uh, cheap leads is it seems like I think this is like almost just for Meta in general, not even newsletters, but is the like video background with text on top of it seems to be the highest performing type of ads, and I would kind of consider those ugly. Like to me, that's ugly, but those are the best performing, right? Is that what you see too?
Yeah, yeah, we see that format working across almost all industries and types of people that you're trying to target, et cetera. It's a strong format for sure,
Yeah.
and we've used it on our local newsletter as well.
You have. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what's been working for us. So obviously that's what we've been doing since I started. And now we're changing up. We've tried a bunch of not that type of ads, whether static, using ChatGPT for kind of cool graphic looking text based stuff. I think we've done a little video, but not video only, not very much. Mostly just some like text or image based ones, and they just not it just has not worked once. Even on ones that I thought like, okay, this is kind of cool, kind of getting the point across well, and it just has not worked as well as the video with text on top of it. And
Yeah,
it's crazy to me because I think things should look better, but it doesn't matter what I think, right? It matters what works.
that's right. That's
Yeah,
exactly right.
yeah. Um, so what are your thoughts on, because we could talk, it's kind of related because I'm using a similar ad, but what are your thoughts, or do you have any experience with running ads to find advertisers? So instead of looking for subscribers, looking for local companies who would want to advertise in your newsletter.
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. We haven't tried that.
Okay.
But I think it's a pretty interesting play, right? And so I'm curious to hear more and see more about what you're doing with those efforts. Because, if you can kind of crack the code there, that solves a monetization problem, which is what many, many, many people in this space struggle with. They can create good content. They can even maybe grow the number of subscribers that they have, but they struggle with monetization, and because of that, their newsletter efforts maybe never become profitable. So I think this is a really interesting play.
Yeah. So we just started it, and I unfortunately, don't have a ton of evidence for it yet, other than it's working. So first of all, um, it was Ashlyn who kind of brought this up on my show. This was somebody who's doing a local newsletter in Houston. She brought it up a couple weeks ago, and it's something been thinking about doing, and she kind of explained that it was working really well for her. So I was like, okay, screw it, we're going to pursue it. And she was right. We're getting leads for under $1, and I think we're running them at 4 or 5 locations now. We're getting them for under $1, or maybe a little over $1 in some of them, which is great, right? Like we'll take that all day. Now, these are the little bit that some of my team or my partners have called on them to see, are these actually good, right? Because who cares if you get somebody to fill out a form for $1 if they're not good, right? So I think the little bit of evidence I have so far is that, as you would expect, they're very small companies. These are usually the mom and pops that are filling these out, right? So you're not going to get the long term partner paying you $1,000 a month from ads like these, most likely, right? But we are getting people who want to pay, who are happy to pay even small amounts from these ads. So, and that's without us. Honestly, we barely work them. I probably have gotten 250 leads, maybe more, in the last 2 weeks. And I wouldn't be shocked between all my partners if we've called like 20 of them, 30 of them. So
Yeah.
again, a lot of my partners are very busy entrepreneurs. So they like haven't gotten around to it, including me. So anyway, long story short, it's working to get leads, and they clearly are. Most of them are real businesses. They're just really small, and it depends on if you're willing, to go through all that effort to sell them. That's kind of where the downside is.
Right. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, bringing in those leads isn't going to do you any good unless you follow up. So I think once you guys do that, you'll start to get a lot of insight and, understanding of whether this is going to be a good idea or not, but you don't want to let them go cold for too long.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Um, I to solve this problem, because I think, especially with how many of these I'm doing, and how much we're going after it, I just need to get the whole automation process system down. So
Yeah.
I just signed up for Go High Level yesterday.
Oh,
Now I
nice.
know, yeah, you know Go High Level, right?
Oh, yeah. 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 I
Yeah.
love
Do
the
you use
highlight.
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I've used it before too, and it's such a beast to get set up. So now I'm scared. I finally got signed up, but it's going to be a huge pain. But the point is, I'm sitting here saying, okay, we have all these leads coming in, and like we don't have any automation set up, so that's why they're just sitting there. It's like, why am I not doing that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, it's unfortunately probably not going to happen super quickly, but I'm already on Upwork trying to find some GHL experts to help me do it. Um, Cool. Well, hey, tell me a little bit more about like your local business in where are you? Which side are you on, by the way, of the river? Which
I'm in
state are you in?
Louisiana.
You're in
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Okay. Um, and you've been doing it a year. Is there anything, interesting that's come from you doing it? Any sort of, relationships or success with the current businesses, or really, I guess maybe what good things have you learned or have happened since you've been doing it?
I've learned that people, even if they may not say much to me about it, they're reading it and consuming the content. Because if I happen to miss publishing an edition, or if something's incorrect in it, they will let me know very
Yeah.
quickly about those things.
Yeah.
So I know I've got people's attention. And so because of that, now I can see that, um, branding wise, people are constantly seeing the logos for my business. So the coffee shop is actually the title sponsor of the newsletter. So it's Miss Lou Brew, presented by PJ's Coffee. And so that's at the top of every email. So I know, because I know people are seeing the email and consuming the content, actually reading it, because they're letting me know when something's incorrect, then I know they're seeing my logo and any other ads or promotions that I put in there. Also, I've noticed over the last few months, even an increase in business at my coffee shop, and really strong results from some of our LTOs, which are limited time offers. And it's because I've gotten more, I think, more consistent with my local email newsletter and really um, increased the frequency of sends as well. I believe you could, if you can keep up with it, send as frequently as you can, honestly. Um, but in a smaller community, I don't need to send every day. There's just not enough information to put out. But I do send 2 to 3 times a week now, where I was only sending once a week. But yeah, I mean, anytime I announce a new, product or offering at the coffee shop, I think that's helped, and people have told me they've seen it in there. So.
Yeah. I mean, would you say the way you, it sounds like you kind of already said this, but when I think about, coffee shop or a lot of, local businesses really, it's, it's more about brand awareness than like direct leads, right?
Yeah, yeah, especially in a smaller community for sure,
Mhm.
where there's not just this steady flow of new customers coming in, whereas maybe in a larger metropolitan area, there's more likelihood of that. It's definitely more for us. It's definitely just more brand awareness and kind of staying in front of everybody, similar to just kind of like how Coca-Cola or Apple or any major company
Yeah.
does. It's just like stay in front of them. They already know about you, but keep them up to date on your latest offering, something new that's coming out, any innovations or anything you may have going on, with the brand or the company. But yeah, it's not going to be a direct response kind of situation.
Okay. What are your, well, do you have any paid advertisers right now, or are you kind of just advertising yourself?
No, I'm only really advertising my own businesses in there. I've definitely had some local businesses reach out, and we have a little form or a link, but I haven't pushed it hard at all. I've
Yeah.
really just kind of put my own content or ads in there. Um, Building this audience, getting local subscribers for less than $1 a piece is pretty affordable. So if you can build up I can build this thing up for a few $1,000 and then use it to constantly, get in front of these same people over and over now for free going forward. It's a huge return. So I want to take advantage of that myself as well. But every now and then I've put a few, promotions in there for other people, friends of mine or things of that nature, but it's really just me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How do you think about the brand? So are you doing anything other than newsletter right now? You're not doing social, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we just send the newsletter. There's no
Okay.
like website or anything of that nature. Yeah.
Would can I assume or maybe tell me is that like a purposeful choice? Is it just you're just too busy, you don't have time for it? Or
Yeah,
like how do you think about the brand in that way?
yeah. I kind of wanted to master one mode of delivery first, which was the email. Make sure I could keep up time wise. I mean, I'm the one that writes it and sends it out. I think it could be cool to have a website with content and be more of a media platform and not just a newsletter down the road. But as of now, simply my bandwidth and all the other work that I have going on, I knew I couldn't keep up with constant social media, organic content that is only seen by a few people, et cetera, where I know that email hits. So I just kind of wanted to conquer email first.
Yeah, yeah. So basically it's on the roadmap maybe when you get time
Yeah,
or
it's something
inclination.
that I definitely, have considered and am considering. I'm just not there yet, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, totally. What about have you thought much about events? That's been a recent topic a lot lately. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I think events are interesting. I think it kind of goes back to what we just talked about as well, which is that it is work and effort. And so, I know if I put on some type of event with my newsletter, it's going to require a decent amount of work out of me and bandwidth. But I'm seeing other people do this and seeming to have success with it. I think a way I could kind of even tie it together is I could have an event at my coffee shop,
I was
or
thinking
my
about that.
coffee
Yeah.
shop could kind of head
Hmm.
up the event in some form. Um, I also have, of course, the storage business, which has a large parking lot in front of it because it used to be a Kmart location, and we converted it into self-storage. Yeah, and so I have that large parking lot where I could host some type of outdoor event or something, there as well. I haven't really gone down that road yet, but I'm watching other people do it.
Yeah, I think yeah, that type of event stuff where yeah, planning a big outdoor thing in a parking lot with bounce houses and all that, that sounds like a lot of work. Although I know people do it, and it's totally possible. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work. Well, just so that you know, and for the audience too, because I just had the CEO of Dinner on, which is an app. I don't know if you saw that one, but so they built an app where um, they do all the work to put 6 people together to go to dinner, essentially. So it's like if you wanted to host a small dinner party, you now can do it with zero effort. Like this app does it all for you, and you can make money from it because you can charge per like a ticket fee, and you get 70%. I think she said the company takes 30%. Um, and anyway, so I just signed up for it, or I just signed up for it yesterday, actually, because we ran a poll in one of our newsletters, our Round Rock newsletter, and we got 200 people saying that they were interested. And the comments were really, again, I don't think there was a ton of them. There was quite a few, and they were very much like very energetic about it, right? Like, yes, I want to meet more people. I want to get out. I want to go do these things. So I think there's a big play there for sure. And I think the way to think about it is it's easy, right? Because so much of this stuff, it's like, oh, there in the local newsletter space, there's 1,000 good ideas. The problem is capacity, right? Can you actually do it, right? That's why you're not doing social media. That's why I'm not doing events. That's why I'm not doing social media, personally. So if this is easy, does then it become a smart play? And I'll find out. But
Yeah, I mean, there could even be a play where you go partner up with a restaurant and find their slowest day of the week and
mm-hmm.
partner up with them and say, hey, we can come fill the restaurant up and we'll take a cut, we'll promote it, set this thing up, and you guys make it this exclusive event, kind of make a big deal about it. We'll promote it with the newsletter and kind of partner up with you on it. Take like a Monday or a Tuesday when they're just not as busy and they're trying to increase their business. Like that could be a really cool idea as well, and take that to a larger scale. And then, what if you could bring 80 to 100 people to their restaurant? They get to experience something new. It's an event. It kind of feels exclusive, exciting, etc. But it's also a way for you to, you can take a cut of that with your media outlet by promoting it.
100%. I mean, that I think what you just described is basically exactly what Mike from Catskills, that's what he does, and he's making a
Okay.
lot of money doing that. Now he's in a bigger area than you, but like that model makes a ton of sense. And if you knew you were able to get enough people, there are probably other things you could do to make it more of like an event as opposed to just like go to this one restaurant on this day. You could bring things in, bring in a musician, bring in
Yeah.
giveaways from other there's probably a bunch of stuff that you could do there.
Yeah,
So
you
that's
could, you could theme it around a holiday. You can do
yeah,
something
oh
like a
yeah.
murder mystery dinner. You can have
Oh,
like
yep.
all kinds of ways to kind of, make it fun and exciting and an event that
Hmm.
people then go and talk about
Yep.
after it's over.
Totally. And that's where I think someone like you, smaller areas, again, it's worse in a lot of ways, but it's much better in ways like this, right? Where it's easier to get the word out. It's easier for people to share afterwards or to share what's going to happen and feel connected. Because I feel like those smaller communities, it's more likely that people are connected. When you're in a bigger area, people are just kind of more doing their own thing, right? So for in-person stuff, I feel like almost smaller is better. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. But anyway, I will definitely give everybody feedback on the dinner thing as we start to set it up. I'm going to try to set one up in November. The other interesting piece, I don't know where you are, if there's a lot of this, but from the comments we got, the segment I had even mentioned, I think on the show, like moms, dads, and business owners, like those seem like the three kind of obvious. Hey, I want to meet other people like me if I'm one of those three things. And of course, I missed out on probably the biggest one, which is seniors. Now, I don't know if this is just because of where I live. There's a big senior community here, but the seniors specifically were the ones writing in like, we need to have events like this for seniors. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and they have disposable income
Yeah,
too. For the most
exactly.
part, they can afford to
Yep.
do it. They have time on
And
their
time.
hands. Yeah,
Yep.
they're looking for something to do
Yep.
that's probably low effort as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's a really good point. I think seniors is great. I think business owners, entrepreneurs is really cool, especially in a probably larger area than where I live. But I think that could be, a really strong way to connect entrepreneurs. And then, of course, they are also potential marketing clients for your newsletter. If you have a newsletter, you connect them at a dinner, but you can also kind of say, hey, we were able to get you to come to this. Imagine what we could do for your business with our newsletter and go away with
Hey, I
that.
mean, that's exactly how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Um, okay, cool. Well, tell me in your location, one of the things I would be concerned about, another potential negative, I think, in smaller areas is just you kind of already said it a little bit, but like lack of things to cover. Um,
Yeah.
How does that work? You said you're doing two or three a week. I mean, that where are you getting the information, and is there enough? How are you doing the content?
Yeah, so I recap, I highlight sporting events going on
Oh,
in
okay.
the area and recap the ones that happened. I usually highlight one thing, what I have a section called What's Happening, and I highlight one event that's happening in the area that week. I try to highlight one local business as well each week, or in each edition, I guess you would say. And then I have like an event roundup, just kind of list it out, kind of aggregate events. It's not a huge newsletter. I mean, there's not necessarily 40
Yeah.
different events in there. We might have 10 to 12 things, listed for the next kind of 45 days. We have a little weather recap, and then some ads sprinkled in, and that's really about it. It's not meant to be something that takes too long to read. It's meant to take you, 2 to 3 minutes, and you're done for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is what I've heard a lot of, the smarter people in the space say is it's better to have, more that are shorter than fewer ones that are longer, right? Not only is it better because people probably won't read a long one, like they get, tired out. And then I think the other biggest benefit, and it's funny because I'm not doing this, right? But because it does feel like more work right now for us, but is you also get so much better branding if they're seeing it 3, 4, 5 times a week versus once or twice. You become a more part of their life that they get used to as opposed to like occasionally they see this thing.
Yeah, and I mean more ad inventory too, if
And well,
that's a
of
play
course,
for you.
that's a big
Yeah.
one. Yep. Yeah, totally. Is that how do you think about what I just said as far as from the B2B side, like your agency work? Do they, I don't know if there's a standard there or not, but is that how a lot of your clients there would think about things? Is shorter but more common, or do they do?
Uh, there's a lot of different strategies once you kind of go off down there, all different
Hmm.
individuals, and sometimes they'll listen to you and sometimes they won't.
Hmm.
Typically, though, I would say the ones having the most success are running probably shorter newsletters than longer ones. Attention span is an issue with people today. The inbox is full of other newsletters clamoring for attention as well. So people, if they know your newsletter's on, they start ignoring it. Whereas there's some of my favorite newsletters are the ones that I open up and it's like, my three favorite marketing tips for this week. I know I can bang them out and move on to the next email that I want to read. But if I have long form content in there, I usually kind of drown in it and then start ignoring or tuning out that newsletter. So the ones that are having shorter form content typically seem to have kind of more engagement on their list, I would say.
Yeah. I yeah, I want us to start doing that because I think
Yeah.
you're right. And
They're focused, right? These
yeah,
newsletters are focused, they have a point, they can quickly articulate it and they can move on.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I think a lot of people think about one of the best newsletters, and I think he kind of was one of maybe started the trend, um, but of James Clear's newsletter. You know who that is? So how he does like it's basically like 5 or 6 sentences. It's like the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's like three thoughts, one question, two surprises, or something like that. And like each one is a sentence basically. And it's like now his content is so that works for his content. That obviously would not work for most likely for a local newsletter or even most. But it still just goes to show like people love that thing even though it's super short, right? And so
Yeah.
it's just good to think about this kind of stuff. Go ahead.
No, nothing. Go ahead.
Um, okay, so one other I want to ask. I feel like again, you're deep in the weeds here on newsletters, especially outside of just local. And I know there's a local newsletter show, but I don't care. I talk about what I'm interested in. So, um, tell me what you think about or what you're seeing as the opportunity in the B2B newsletter space. Um, I what I know about it again, I listen to a lot of shows about it, including Matt and many others. And I've talked to a few people doing these things, and it's like, holy crap, if you find the right niche and you have the right content for it, of course, like they can absolutely crush. And so, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, you kind of already answered it,
Yeah.
which is finding the right niche, and the
Yeah.
more niche, almost the better. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, too many
Yep.
people are focused on vanity metrics of list size and things of that nature, but a killer niche newsletter with a couple thousand subscribers that you can monetize from a lot easier, I think is, to me, that's the power play. And not just saying that we talk to maybe. commercial contracting companies, but like specifically commercial contractors who build shopping centers in the state of Texas. And it's like, okay, the reader really feels like that publication can speak to them, to their pain points, to the things that they're interested in, to ultimately have the same POV as them. Whereas a commercial contractor in Alaska that's building whatever, something totally disconnected from the space that I'm in my location, it's just not as engaging or interesting. And so the more niche, the better, regardless of what the industry is.
Yeah. And are you seeing that if you do that right, that they can crush with advertising and
Yeah.
or whatever form, they just can be very successful. Let's just say that.
Well, when you say successful with advertising, do you mean selling advertising in their publication, or do you mean advertising their publication on Facebook to say get more
I
subscribers?
mean, selling ads in their newsletters
Yeah.
to yeah.
So, well, these individuals are usually much more successful selling their own products. So,
Oh, okay.
information, training,
Yeah.
consulting, coaching, things of that nature. They can become very successful selling
Hmm.
those types of things because they are the subject matter expert on that niche. And
Hmm.
so these people are willing to pay them the big bucks to have that experience with them, whatever it may be.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's a whole other play. Again, I know Matt and a bunch of people talk about exactly that, right? Having even Nathan May, like this was the mullet thing, right? Like, okay, you sell ads in the front, but then you got to have your course, your
Yeah.
consulting, your community, and all these things on the back end. And you know, you can absolutely crush with that. I have talked to somebody who's in the like trades, you know, home service stuff like this, and he told me that he's launched two newsletters um, that are already six figures annual revenue, and they haven't launched yet. Um, and so now I don't know what they were specific. I got the feeling they were hyper niche, right? For example, he didn't tell me what they were, but something like commercial plumbers, you know, like you're saying, right? So not just plumbing, but like, okay, this is commercial plumbing. And where if that niche spends a lot of money on certain things, if you're a business who wants to get in front of commercial plumbers, that's difficult, right? That's one of their hardest challenges. Well, what if there's a newsletter you can run your ads for,
Yeah.
right? Like it makes a lot of sense for that company that can make five figures a year per deal to spend a fortune getting in front of a list of, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
800 commercial plumbers or something.
Absolutely. It's like another niche that I was thinking about earlier was like, I met this guy. He has a newsletter talking about like the profession of coaching, like coaching sports. But it's like, what if you had the newsletter that
Mm-hmm.
was focused on speaking to coaches, high school coaches in the state of Louisiana? It's like very niche and focused, but all of a sudden, if you want to get in front of those people, this is the publication to go to because they all read it. And they all do read it because when the coach finds out about it, they're going to feel left out if they're not a part of that because it's so niche to them. They know that their associates or colleagues in the space are probably reading it as well. And so that's the power of the niche for sure.
100%. And the reason I bring this up on this show that's about local specifically is, you know, you already, if you've already launched one, I assume, if you're watching this, you already have way more knowledge about how newsletters work than 99.9% of people. Like, I don't care if you started a month ago, you're already in the top like 0.1%, right? So think about your life or your business experience, and you might have a niche that you just haven't realized you could do a newsletter in. Now, not to say it's easy, not to say this is just an automatic home run, but like I think there's a lot of people, if they really sat down and brainstormed between not only their own experience, but maybe their families. Maybe your dad does something or your cousin is in this weird industry that's like super high value, but it's really small. There's such a big play. I mean, one of the things I think about, I've actually talked to two people about doing this, and I'm so busy I need to follow up with them. But is like almost you could partner with them, right? Be like, hey, you know, because these people with all this expertise, it's easy for them to just you know vomit all the value out. Like they just get on a Zoom and talk for 30 minutes, and you get crazy value. But they don't know how to do newsletters. They don't know how to do a media company. They don't know how to acquire subscribers, right? So if you could partner with them and say, hey, you just give me content, and the way they can give you content is just, hey, jump on a Zoom for an hour a week or an hour a month. You could probably get enough content for four newsletters. You
Yeah.
do it for them. Use AI for structuring and the basics, and and there you go. Like now you have an insanely valuable newsletter. So anyway, I just like to bring this up because I think about this a lot. And the hardest part to me is well, it's twofold. One, it's knowing what the niche is, but then B, it's finding the expert in that niche. Right? You can come up, you can go look online or look in a magazine or something, find a niche. The problem is you got to be able to get in front of the expert. And if you can do that, you're the expert, or your buddy's an expert, or your dad. Now you got something really unique there. So
Yeah. No, totally. I agree.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so um, do you are you able to say who it is that you work for?
Yeah, absolutely. So I
Okay.
work with Matt McGarry at Grow
Okay.
Letter. Matt is one of the, if not the top expert in the space in the world of growing newsletters and now really even focused on not just newsletters but turning them into media assets, building out kind of an entire media business. He helped build the Hustle. If you're familiar with that, I think most people are. Kind of helped accelerate their growth, and it's helped a ton of the biggest names in the space grow their audiences very quickly at affordable prices. So I work with Matt. I'm marketing director over there at Grow Letter with Matt, and I work with a lot of the clients on the agency side, and then have some involvement in his coaching and consulting community as well.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were allowed to say it, but the reason bringing it up too is he I think he's already posted something about it. I don't think details are out yet, but he had hosted the event in Austin last year that I went to. I don't think you did you go to that because I don't think I met you there. Were you there?
I wasn't at the
You were there.
event.
Okay.
We have some very exciting news about that event coming out
Okay.
very, very soon. It may even already be out when this episode here gets published on your site.
Okay.
But there's some really cool stuff coming out about that event in the very near future. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to bring it up because thankfully it's in Austin again, which is good for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely recommend everybody go to it. It was an awesome event last year. I suspect it'll be bigger and better this year. But again, the ability to meet with we're speaking of niches, right? Being newsletter people or the sub niche of local newsletter, it's hard to find these people again, especially to be able to meet them in person and hang out. And I think we all know connecting with people in person is just so valuable. So if you can make it out, I will be there, and I highly recommend
Yeah,
that
there's
you
going to
go.
be some killer speakers there that they're going to be announcing very soon. The attendees at that event, I saw who was there last year, and I know this year it's going to be even so much more powerful. The
Hmm.
quality of the people that attend any event or anything that Matt puts on is
Hmm.
just bar none. I mean, it's incredible. So people definitely, if they're in this space, it's the event to be at.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the other thing that I noticed was a lot of the people that were there were like, not celebrities like real celebrities, but I mean these are like legit people with like massive followings and whatever.
Yeah,
And they're just there like either maybe some of them were speakers, but then they're just hanging out because they want to learn this stuff too because it's so niche and they want to be around their people. I mean, I sat next to when I first sat down, um, I mean, I sat next to Isaac French, who's like, oddly enough, lives pretty close to me because he's in Waco, but he's really successful. They talk about him on My First Million all the time, and he's just a dude just sitting there. I don't think he was even speaking, and he was awesome. I chatted with him for a few minutes, and it's just cool to like see these really successful people there, and it's because we're in this hyper niche thing, right? Where
yeah,
you want to
no,
surround yourself with like minded people
1000%.
with good ideas and insights.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe I'll get a discount code type of thing later. I don't have one now, but I'm telling you, either way, whether I get one or not, I
Yeah.
recommend everybody go. It's
Yeah,
gonna
we'll
be
see what we can do.
it's gonna be killer. So you should go. Um, awesome. Well, hey, this has been great, Tance. Any thoughts you want to leave anybody with? Any ways they can connect with you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things, a couple of thoughts that I like to always share with people, whether we talked about it on the call or not, is to lean into pain points that, when you're marketing your newsletter or growing or making an offer, whatever it is, focus on those pain points, ways to emotionally connect with people, and that's the power and the strategy of your marketing and your messaging and what you're putting out there. And not just talking about the technical aspects of your product or service or newsletter, whatever it is, but speak to those pain points and the things. That's what really gets people to make decisions, right? And I talk about this a lot on my publication. I have a newsletter called The Ruralpreneur as well, where I talk to entrepreneurs who live in small towns and rural communities all over the country. And I talk about that a lot. And I just think that if there's one thing that I really wish more of these newsletter operators would do is lean into the pain points that their readers might be experiencing, because that's going to resonate with them, and then you're going to get their attention. So
Mhm.
make sure that you're doing that, not just saying, "Hey, subscribe to this free newsletter," but like speak to what they're struggling with and what they're looking for solutions to. Right? That's when you can really get them to kind of tune into what you have to say. So that's one thing I always like to kind of pitch if I get a chance to. And then, yeah, the other thing is I'm active on LinkedIn. That's how you and I met. So I'm active on LinkedIn. And then, of course, I have my publication if people care to read about that.
Yeah, definitely you should if you're in a rural area, 100%.
Yeah.
Tance doing some really cool stuff there, so that's great. Um, awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on, Tance.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me,
All right.
TJ. See you.
Yep. See ya.